this an acronym or does it mean something? Tell us a bit more about
Yeah,
this.
I think it's an acronym primarily, but also means like, ignite your spark and be
Okay,
successful. But I'll tell you the acronym, right?
I see.
So Spark is SPARK.
Right.
So S stands for self-awareness. The whole thing that you just
Self-awareness.
mentioned, self-awareness,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Knowing your own values and your mindset, and also, knowing who you authentically are, that's
yeah,
self-awareness.
yeah.
P stands for persistence, right?
Persistence.
And persistence is, in my view, very important because today's generation, they want instant gratification. They feel like success will come right away.
Yes.
But what is
Well, you
important in
get
life is,
everything on Swiggy in 15 minutes, right? So
yes.
the world has
But
trained them up
success, when
like
I talk about life success, is
that.
you have to be at it for at least some time and
Yeah,
do it persistently.
yeah.
And there's also the concept of grit that I
Mm.
talk about, saying, it is the less sexy stuff that you keep doing and keep at it ultimately gives compounds the result. So that's persistence part of it.
100%.
Um, A stands, sorry,
A,
you were
right?
saying something. Yeah.
No.
So the couple of things I want to talk about, like persistence is even more important in today's world because the generation that we are in, you know, our attention span has come down so much,
Yeah.
right? And because of that, what we are doing is we are being very shallow in terms of understanding the meaning of success and what gives you a lasting happiness. And
Mm.
that's where the whole concept of persistence comes in. And I talk about it in detail as to how do you build persistence.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you have to keep doing the same thing the same way. It
Mm.
means that define your goal and be at it, make small mini steps, but ensure that you're tracking progress, right?
Yeah.
The next one, A stands for authentic storytelling. So
Authentic storytelling. Okay.
yes, and the reason for that is what I realized, at least in India and also in a couple other countries, that people may know a lot, they might be very hardworking, but they are not able to tell their story in a way which is authentically their own, connect the
Mm.
world to it, derive meaning, and move people around them. And I think
Okay.
ability to connect, influence, and
Yes.
moving people around you towards an outcome through your own authentic storytelling is so important because ultimately, you know, if you can't express yourself in a way which is authentically yours,
Right,
going
right.
back to your point, you will not come closer to your self-awareness and your wisdom within you, right?
Absolutely.
So there I
So
talk about,
may I just interject you for 1 second here? Was there anything in Harvard that you did, any courses, any people you met that actually helped you understand this concept of authentic storytelling better? Were you in a
yes,
Marshall
there were a
Gans
couple of,
class?
yeah, so there was a Marshall Grants class, but I
Yeah.
did not take that class. But having said
Oh,
that, there were a couple of other things I did, which is like I did a communication class there,
okay.
but at the same time also realized that in an environment like Harvard, where everyone is so amazing, comes with such amazing background, the only way for you to stand out to be authentically your own, be
Mm,
yourself. You
mm.
cannot just copy anyone and stand out because
Yeah.
the only one thing you can be best at is being yourself. Like
Yes.
everything else, someone is better at you, right?
Yes.
Better at that, right?
Everyone else
So
is
that
taken.
yeah, everything else is taken. So you got to be, and I think there is no shame or embarrassment in being authentically yourself because
Absolutely.
that is what makes you unique.
Yeah.
And also, you have to own your narrative, right? In the sense that you have to stand up for what you believe in, and you
Mm.
have to be able to articulate that, and you have to be able to un in a very not like in a way that you need to say that this is me and this is how it is,
Mm-hmm.
and this is why I believe this is going to work out. Like you have
Right.
to have that story very clearly, right? You
Mm.
cannot borrow it from someone else,
Yeah.
and that has to be, you have to work hard to evolve it in a
That
way
is
that
such
you
a
can get
good
that
point.
confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because at some point in time, everything you will do will start coming to a point of a limit until you are able to, crack open this one
Mm.
impediment, I would say,
Mm, that's
right?
right. That's right.
So that's A on the
Okay.
spark. Then
Okay.
the R
Hmm.
on the spark is relationships. I think relationships really
Relationship.
matter.
Yes.
And I have personally realized this that you can be very smart, you can do many things yourself,
Hmm.
but ultimately it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village and a lot of people to sort of, you need to interdependently work with them to achieve a much bigger outcome. And
Definitely.
everyone is capable of doing many things, but it
Hmm.
has to be built on the shoulders and the foundations of many people around you, right? And
Right.
there I talk about things like how do you build good relationship? I mean, you find your tribe. You first of all, because you have self-awareness, you have, you are able to authentically tell your story. You will then, if you build on that foundation, you can connect with people much better.
Mm-hmm.
You can cultivate a set of mentors who can help you, and you can create shared success with people around you, and that will amplify whatever you do to the power
Right.
of n, where n is the kind of relationship number of relationships you have, right? And
Absolutely.
finally,
May I
know-how.
also ask one question about this R?
Yeah.
So, when you're doing anything of consequence in the world, you are bound to run across people or rub people off in the wrong way sometimes. What is your advice to, say, anyone in my position or in the position of a young person who's reading your book to not just build good relationships, but also to mend them if you rub people off in the wrong way?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good question. And let me state how one can do that, right? I mean, clearly you
Yeah.
can always make mistakes and there are ways to correct it. But if you're self-aware, like if we go back to the S of the spark,
Mm.
self-awareness is about finding your strength and values. Once you know
Mm.
that much better, you
Yeah.
know how to leverage them. I also talk about the mindset advantage. If you have a growth mindset, even if you are criticizing someone, you are criticizing with a constructive mindset and
Yes.
you want relationship to grow. People
Certainly.
ultimately, are able to take even a harsh feedback from you and may not mind it.
Mm.
At the same time, when you're authentic, you are saying without meaning any harm, but you are saying because you authentically believe in something.
Yeah.
People give you point for the fact that you are intellectually honest and
Mm.
you are saying it because you truly have your heart and a meaning in that, right? So
Right.
those things help you mend the relationship even when they have been burned. At the same time, clearly you will have to spend time on cultivating relationships as well.
Mm.
Trying to find common grounds, understand people much better,
Right.
find areas of shared success. Those things also I give very specific examples
Yes.
how one can do. And I think as you grow, as you rise higher in any organizational hierarchy, ultimately relationships is what matters. In fact, I'll give you an
Mm.
example. Like when I was running Flipkart in India, part of the seller ecosystem there. Uh, I got a call to be the CEO of a company called Network 18 Digital, primarily because the chairman of the board had worked with me when I was at McKinsey, and he
Oh,
remembered my work and we had good relationship. And this was like 10 years, there was a 10-year gap, right? So
wow.
if you think about it, when you build good relationship and people remember you for who you are and you leave a brand behind, like, I mean, that's why I talk about like brand building, personal branding, and all of that as well
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
authentic storytelling. You register in people's mind, and that's your brand that you leave behind. And I think that's how things work for you. Whenever there's a need for someone of that kind, your name comes to people's
And
attention.
this is a really important point you're making, which is that when you leave an authentic impression, it's eternal. So the 10 years that passed by in between since you met him originally or with him originally didn't matter. When the time came, that impression was so strong and
Yeah.
authentic that he remembered you and could vouch for you.
Yeah, exactly. There are two things here. One is authentic storytelling, where I talk about like at least three things, which is owning your narrative,
Mm.
strategically communicating what you stand for, and also from building your personal brand. And second thing also is you have to build relationship and also maintain relationship in the sense
Maintain
that
it.
you have to stay in
Yes.
touch with people, right? I mean,
Right.
so clearly in this case, I was in touch with him and and he was aware of what I was doing and my brand was already there with him. So I think
Amazing.
those things come to your advantage.
Yeah.
And these are small incremental things, but they compound at some point
Mm.
and they lead to an outsized benefit and impact, right?
Certainly.
And the other thing also is that not only think from a material perspective, it gives you a lot more satisfaction that you are called on by people that you respect and they respect you for who you are. And I think that's a very mutually trusted relationship. And that's
Absolutely.
it feels amazing to be in a relationship with someone like that professionally, right?
Yeah.
Where they have your back and you know exactly what they expect of you as well. And
Certainly.
many people, you know, they are able to step up the game and do even better when you're in an environment like that, right?
Okay.
And finally, the K in the Spark framework
Okay.
stands for know-how.
Know how.
Know-how primarily is the technical knowledge and
Mm.
excellence.
Mhm.
But there also, I am saying that in the world of AI, you may not need to know exact technicality, but what you need to know is three things. One is you have to learn to learn in the sense
Learn to
that
learn. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, how do you continue learning? Which is like,
Yeah.
how do you have a sense of curiosity? How do you ask the fundamental question, the why analysis,
Yeah.
saying why something is happening the way it is happening? So learning to learn
Right.
is part of a know-how now, right?
Yeah.
Versus the technical of codings and knowing like language like Python and all are like the bygone era, but you need to know how to
Yes.
learn something, right?
Yeah.
And the second thing is getting things done. How do you sort of
Okay.
finish something? When you take up
Mm.
something, you
Complete
need
it.
to execute and do it,
Yes.
right? So executing and doing things, because today I also realize that when you sit down to work, you have access to so much that
Mm.
you get overwhelmed by what even to do. Like
Yes.
I watch my daughter as well. Like she will open a Chrome and she has like 27 tabs open, right? And even like a simple thing like if you have to order for a dress or a book a flight, we
Yes.
will do like five different analysis. Should I go
Yeah.
this route or that route,
Yeah.
this hotel or this activity? And we'll check with different LMs and a chat GPT and a Claude and everything else. So ultimately, getting things done also becomes important, that we need to be very goal oriented and time
100%.
bounded and then
Yeah.
create a sense of urgency. So that comes under know-how. And finally, the third thing under know-how I talk about is that practicing excellence, having a high bar, right? So I've noticed that people who have a high bar of themselves and
Mm.
they practice excellence over a period of time, they tend to get on a very different trajectory than people who are okay with the average stuff, right?
Yeah.
So don't be okay with average stuff or mediocre stuff,
Mm.
right? Have a
Mm.
high bar for yourself and
Right.
for the people around you and the team that you hire. And
Sure.
over time, everyone will feed into each other and your entire team would be a high performance team.
Right.
So that's
Right.
the spot. So just
So
to repeat,
on that, I have one question, Manish. I think we are living in a world where excellence still matters, but at the same time, we're also facing unprecedented levels of mental stress, right? So how do we balance that, having a high bar of ourselves and our teams with not causing conditions for burnout?
yeah, no, so good question. When you say high bar, actually, a shoddy works creates even more stress, I've noticed. Like, do it once, do
Mm.
it well,
That's an
right?
insight.
So, yeah, so what I say is that when you get down to do something, define your goal in a way that you really feel like once you do it this way, it would be a thing of timeless beauty. Like it would be something that you will always go back and say, okay, this is what I did, and give you a
Mm.
sense of happiness, right? So that's how I think about it. When I think about excellence is like establish excellence as something which is not necessarily stressful or time consuming, but this is higher quality in terms of meeting the ultimate customer need or objective. If you are working in a company or if you have a customer to serve,
Yeah.
define that way, right? Because
Right.
if you do a mediocre work, you will have to do rework.
Yes.
And that might cause a lot of back and forth. Like, for example, if you're booking something, book is so well that the
Yeah.
very first time it goes through and you don't have to have repeat
Perfect.
work, right? But if
Yes.
you do it like half-heartedly, your forms are not completely done. I'm giving you a very basic example, but that's where
Sure.
I see that a lot more time is spent on mediocre work and back and forth
Hmm.
as compared to establishing that what is a good way to do it.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a very good example, another example
Mhm.
from life, right? Which is basically, you know, be very clear about the success before you start doing things. It's like if you have to axe a tree and you have 10 hours to do it, like spend 8 hours in sharpening the axe
Right.
because then you can quickly go and do what you
Quickly
want to do, right? But if you
execute it.
start, if you start without being very clear about the success and excellence level,
Hmm.
you might flounder, you may have a lot of back and forth, you will have a lot
Yes.
of heartburn, your team will also have no clarity. So that's what I mean by practicing excellence,
Right.
right?
And I think you said it really well. I once read, if you have the time to do it 2 or 3 times to improve it, then you definitely have the time to do it properly once.
Yeah. Oh,
So my
wow. Even better. Like, I could
right,
not have said it even better. Like, you chose the best words. I mean, that's exactly the point, right? I mean,
right.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That
Define
makes
it well,
that
plan
makes
it
total
well,
sense.
and
Yeah.
execute with high quality and execute it
Mhm.
once in a way that you don't have to do
Right.
it again. And
Absolutely.
that's
And
what
it's
practicing
done
excellence
and
will be.
dusted. You can move
Yeah.
on to your next goal. And I guess
Yeah.
therein
And
lies
you
the
also have a sense
secret.
of completion and gratification, right? A
Absolutely.
job well done
Yeah.
gives you so much happiness that you are on a naturally, you feel high.
Hi.
You
Yeah.
don't have to do another dopamine hitter. Like, I mean, you feel like if you do a
That's
great
right.
work and
Yes,
and it is noticed, and you also internally notice that, oh, this is my best work.
that's right.
Like you automatically feel so good about it. That leads
Yeah.
to a very positive release of hormones as
And
well.
this, now that you're saying this, I'm just naturally self-analyzing a little example from day-to-day life. So on
Yeah.
days that my first cup of coffee is not made to that excellent level of, aroma and taste, I end up having more cups of coffee during the day
Yeah.
because you're always seeking that perfection, seeking that excellence. And this is a great message for, students today, that, if you do it well the first time, the rewards are so high that you wouldn't have to keep doing the same thing again and again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I think,
amazing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. I mean, you said it so well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that framework. But I'm going to, as we've completed K, I want to bring you back to S, because I
Yeah.
think over the year I've got to know you better than, just by reading your book I would have. So S is self-awareness. So Manish,
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember when we were at Harvard, the first thing I learned about you was that you were offering very generously yoga classes in the morning
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
our cohort. So can you share what you do for your self-awareness? Has the yoga practice continued, or are you doing something else? And how has that helped you write the insights or gain the insights that you have in this book?
Yeah. No, I'll tell you, I picked up yoga more formally much later. And
I
I
see.
took a yoga training and became a certified teacher. But of course, I've been practicing yoga. I'll tell you about yoga and I'll tell you about generally about what leads to self-awareness. I think
Mhm.
in general, right? I mean, the more you get into depth of things and you ask like fundamental questions,
Mhm.
and also your reaction to those questions and your experiences around that, and
Mhm.
you take time to reflect, you become more self-aware. It's like getting into a bit of meditative posture. Like, for example,
Definitely.
if something, if you have a job and you do it and you don't enjoy it, you should ask, why did I not enjoy it?
Yeah.
Right? Is it because the customer we were serving, I couldn't relate to them? Is the work that was being done was done in a way that doesn't align with my values? So
Hmm.
when you ask those questions, you become very aware of like, okay, what is my natural element? What is my natural inclination as a human?
Yeah.
What value system I carry? Which kind of things
Mhm.
give me happiness? Which
Yeah.
kind of things causes dissonance? So when you ask those fundamental questions, and these are questions you have to ask yourself and sit and after you're on a very high, like when you have a very good day or
Yes.
when you have a very bad day, that's a great time to do the analysis. When you
Okay.
are very happy, you should also ask, like, why are you so happy today? Why are you feeling so high? What
Right.
is it about the work or the day that really made you feel
Yes.
that way? And then you start understanding that this is what really I am made of for. This is
Right.
what is my true excitement. If I could borrow this term ikigai, this is what is my ikigai, right? So you have
Right.
to know that, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one exercise. The other thing is when you have a calm, confident, and a bit of a composed mindset,
Hmm.
which is what meditation is all about,
Yeah.
you are able to analyze your thoughts much better and
Hmm.
you become far more reflective. I think yoga teaches you to, balance your mind and body, be calm, and sort of stay grounded. And I think that helps you a lot because when you're able to do that, you are able to not get carried away by what seems like fashionable or a fad.
Hmm.
And you also don't give in to peer pressure because in today's world, I notice with the youth that they watch something on Instagram or social media, they get into peer pressure, they try to copy things, even if internally they are not at peace with it,
Hmm.
right? They're
Yeah.
just doing it to just showcase it or just
Yes.
putting on a show, right?
Right.
So when we are young, I mean, we want to put up a show, we want to project an image
Yes.
which is socially acceptable or acceptable among the friend circle we have. But
Yeah.
as we mature in life, we realize that that false pretense is not really happiness, right? You
Right.
start analyzing that, oh, what really makes me happy is that if you get to do that, you are
Yeah.
able to, you have a smile on your face and you feel like you have the day with you, right? So those
Certainly.
are the things I would say. And I won't say that I learned it on day one, but over the last few decades
Right.
of going through ups and downs of life, and
Yes.
after analyzing so much, and of
Yeah.
course, as you know, I sit on social media as well. So I have a ringside view of how the world operates on the
Right.
social
Right. Of
media.
course.
So I've seen everything, and
Yeah.
now once I've seen things,
Yeah.
I have the benefit of hindsight to be able to say this.
Absolutely. And the benefit of reflection. I think what you mentioned is
Yeah,
absolutely important, that being reflective in the midst of all the noise that is around us, that's key. I think that's almost a survival skill today. At some point in the past, it may have been a nice to have, but today it's a
yeah,
survival skill.
yeah. And I think you have to be like a monk sitting in the middle of a bazaar, right?
Yes, that's a
Like the
really
hustle
good
and buzzer of a
analogy.
bazaar, and you have to be like a monk,
Yes,
and you need to
yes,
be able to meditate and say,
yeah,
okay, with so much hustle and bustle going around me,
yeah,
how do I not get carried away by it
right,
and do things that is right for me, right for my peace,
True.
and write for my personal long-term happiness and durable happiness.
Absolutely. No, you said it well, and I think your Spark framework, it's
Yeah.
going to help. It's going to help everyone, but I'm going to make a special note of it,
Yeah.
to keep it handy. And I really look forward to reading your book in its
Yeah. So
entirety
in
as
India, it
well,
is available
Manish.
in paperback, but
Mhm.
if you're not in India, it's also available on Kindle. So
On
you can, of
Kindle,
course,
yes.
always buy an electronic copy on Kindle.
Definitely.
So
Looking forward to doing that, getting your sign on my copy.
yeah.
And it's been great catching up with you, Manish, after all this while. And
No,
you know,
I
I
think
want to
same
share
here.
I want to share this one thing. So when we were studying in the MCMPA at Kennedy School, I remember telling a few people that there's a book in them. But
Yeah.
you are the only one who took that seriously. So I'm very, very happy that you wrote
Uh,
the book, you published the book, and that it's doing so well. And I wish you all the best.
no, thank you, Prajakta. There's one more thing you said, which I remember that each one
Okay.
of us are carrying our ladder and we're looking
Uh-huh.
for the right wall.
Uh-huh.
Probably I found my wall earlier than others, and maybe others will find it soon as well, and they will also write a
Absolutely.
book.
And there may be more walls for you. I'm hoping this
Yes.
is the start of a
Yeah.
series of books.
Yes, yes. Thank you for the encouragement, Prajakta.
Of
You're
course.
always so very thoughtful. Speaking to
Thank you.
you gives me so much calm and so
I'm
much
glad.
sort of, I would say, warmth as well. I would
I'm
say.
so happy to hear that. And
Yeah,
likewise,
yeah,
Manish, I think you have been one of the most optimistic
yeah,
people I've met in our cohort. So
yeah.
you are such an example to follow in that sense. And I look
Thank you.
forward
Thank
to
you.
actually following the Spark framework and sharing
Yeah,
it
no,
with
thank you. And
people.
you're very generous in your appreciation, Prajakta. Thank you so much. And
You're most
lovely, I think,
welcome.
great to speak to you. And I think wish you all the best as well with your
Thank
book.
you,
Yeah,
thank you. And we should do this more often. We should keep catching
yeah,
up. But
yeah,
just before you go, maybe since both of us are
yeah.
authors, let's hold up our books.
Yes,
And
yes.
here we go.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's the Buddha
Lovely.
Balance Journal, which is also in a workbook format. That's the Unlocking Success. And these are both available on Amazon, right? Yours is as well, and
Yes,
mine is too. So
yes.
great, 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 great.
Super, super.
Amazing.